Hello everyone, VanguardOfValor here, and welcome to Duskers. Duskers is a fairly unusual game, developed and published by Misfits Attic, and it is, I guess the best way to describe it would be something along the lines of a salvaging rogue-lite, wherein you use drones via a text interface. It's a bit strange, and we're going to take a look at it in just a second, but before we do, it's worth mentioning that this game is in early access. You can see in the bottom right corner of the screen there, they're working on the gameplay, the art, and the audio still, and the story. It's all still being worked on, but as it stands, it's still a pretty interesting and enjoyable gameplay experience, kind of a stressful one, but a pretty interesting experience all the same. So we're going to hop into it and take a look at what it's all about here. We're going to be jumping into a game that's in progress, so let's do just that. Now, this game does have a lot to take in when you get started. We're going to take a look here, and as you can see, there's a lot of information on the screen. It's pretty self-explanatory once you get down to the meat and potatoes of it, but it is still, a little bit confusing for those who are not familiar yet. So, just to make things clear here, bottom of the screen, you can see the scrap we have, which is the resource that we use to repair our drones, buy upgrades, that kind of thing. It's basically currency. We have propulsion in the slot next to it, which is how much we can travel within a specific system. We have jumps, which allows us to travel between galaxy locations, like you can see on the map right now. In the right side of the screen, you can see exactly what we're looking at, details on the current location. Just above that, we have information on our ship, which shows us how many drone slots we have filled and how many upgrades for our ship we have. Top right, we have menus. Top left, we have the view for the map. If we go to the universe, we don't know what the universe is like right now. Something weird may have happened, who knows. But if we go down to the system menu, we can see what we're actually in. Each of these locations on the map are basically a beacon to which we can travel to investigate a ship or a station of some kind, hopefully find some kind of rewards, and hopefully not die a horrible death. So, we're going to hop straight into a ship, we'll experiment a little bit with it, and then we'll come back and look at some of the other menu options here. So, let us board this Salvage Type B ship. It has one type of enemy infestation, so there's one kind of enemy on board. Hopefully we never have to come face to face with it. And, actually, we've already visited this one, come to think of it. I should go look at a different one. Alright, we'll come look at this Tech Class A ship then. We don't know what's on it. Excellent, that's even better. Didn't realize that I'd already been to that one. So, let's board this ship and see what happens. So, when we go to board a ship, we get the option of setting up our drones before we go. We're allowed to bring up to 4 drones on every mission at our current position in the game, and they all have their own names and upgrades. You have Wally, Kelly, Orson, Nathan, and Qbert here. As it stands, they can all carry 3 different upgrades, and that determines what they can do in the level. So we think of things like a Gatherer, which allows them to pick up scrap or fuel in the level, Sensor, which allows them to drop little sensor things, which tells us if things are moving in there, and a variety of other upgrades. Some of them are in yellow because they're damaged and they have a risk of breaking completely when we use them, and as you can see here in our inventory below, this one is broken completely and it is no longer functional. So we're going to hop into the ship here and see what is what. Sometimes we get text like this, so we got a report here. Alright, number 3. I'm realizing there'll be no way for you to communicate back. Keep moving. Rations are low. No time to double back to any of these ships to see if you left a response. Trading post to see news. Captain Gene Vogel. So, while this is a game with permadeath, if you die, you are dead, you have to start over, you keep all of these reports that you've discovered, so even throughout many attempts, you can gradually piece together the story of the game, which is kind of interesting. As it stands, though, here we are in the game interface. It looks a little bit strange, doesn't it? Well, we have our drones in the bottom here, 1, 2, 3, and 4 in our ship. There's an airlock right next to us. There is a room we know about in the ship up above. Each of the rooms have a code name. Now, we have a text interface in the bottom right. We can do things like this. There's a command, begin. If we type in begin, it will send our first 2 drones into the first room, and if there's a power generator in there, number 2 will power it. There we go. And now we've learned a little bit more about the ship, and that's all well and good, but you can actually go down there as well. If we hop down here to Wally, we see the world through his drone view and through the view of the other drones around him. We can control him with the arrow keys, and we can explore around here and see what's going on. Now, there's the generator right there that Kelly is powering with her generator ability. As we explore through here, we might find things. That's some scrap, and we can type gather in the console here to gather it up. Now, there's also a computer console here, but we don't have anybody with the interface ability, so we have no way to react with it. This room may or may not be safe, but we have no way to know right now, so we're going to drop a sensor in the room. That will tell us if anything comes into that room and starts moving. Then we want to back off and protect ourselves, so we want to control some doors now. By typing in D15 in the console here, we can close that door. D3 will allow us to open a door nearby, as will D17. This way, we'll be able to see if anything comes in from those rooms. If there's enemies in there, they will probably patrol around. There's a good chance that sensor will suddenly go red, then we know that there's an enemy in there. Currently, our drones are not well equipped to deal with enemies, except for Nathan, drone number 4. Nathan has a Gatling gun on his drone, and it's pretty effective at killing off enemies who are coming towards us. We just have to be a little bit careful, because sometimes things don't go as planned. Now we're going to take Nathan here. His Gatling gun is damaged, which means we don't want to use it if we don't have to. What we're going to do, just to be careful here, is we're going to set him up with the Gatling gun on this door to see if we can protect us against anything that may be hidden in here but isn't yet moving. We can squeeze through. There's some scrap in here. Oh, a ship upgrade. And nothing hostile. Since nothing else has come through here, there's a good chance there's no enemies in any of these rooms, but not guaranteed. There's a vent in here, which is not healthy. Vents can spawn enemies over time, so just because there's nothing there immediately doesn't mean something will pop up later. So we're going to gather the resources from this room and head back out again. Now, not everything has to be done from the first-person camera. If we wanted to, for example, Orson has a towing upgrade. So we're going to send him over to pick up that upgrade in room 7. So we're going to say navigate in the control panel, drone 3 to room 7, semicolon to separate commands, tow, that'll tell him to pick up that device, navigate, drone 3 to room 1, semicolon again, and tow again. That will send him autonomously to go pick up that upgrade and then return. So you can do a lot of this kind of stuff without actually having to have direct control over the robots doing it. There goes Orson, he's going to pick up that upgrade and bring it back to our ship. So you can actually do some pretty interesting stuff that way. Depending on how many commands you run simultaneously, you can get a lot of work done very quickly. Now there are things that we'll run into here, like you'll see that our ship isn't necessarily all powered right now. The room that we're in is in gray as opposed to in green. We can't open door D10 because there's no power there, and we can't interact with the console in this room, even if we did have the interactability, the interface ability rather, because, simply put, we just don't have that option. So, fair enough. Doesn't seem like there's anything entering into room 4 either from D16 or D9, so we're going to send drone 1 up there to investigate that as well. Now, these abilities that we're using, Gatling and whatnot... Oh! Something just happened. We have a radiation flood through room 4. Due to exposure through what? Through the hull. Alright, that's not good. So there's a hull leak in that room, so we're going to close these neighboring doors to hopefully prevent everything from flooding out that way. We are going to do something a little bit less safe then. We need to try and make some actions quickly, because if we're not careful, there's a good chance that radiation will leak into other parts of the ship. Now, these doors are all solid, so there's a good chance that no radiation will be able to get through them, unlike these less solid doors. We want to try and get over here to make sure we can get the major core of the wards in this area, so we're going to play a little bit more aggressively now. If we move our Gatling drone, it will disable the Gatling weapon that he has enabled, which is not good for us. So we want to try and prevent him from moving if we can help it, although he's not going to be much use anymore since there's really nothing over there. What we're going to do now is we're going to quickly start checking other parts of the ship for enemies, and if we can, we'll lead them into room 4, where things are already pretty nasty. It may be dangerous to open those doors, though, because the radiation flooding those rooms is probably pretty dangerous. As it stands, though, we're just waiting to see if there's any enemies up in the top part of the ship that's accessible to what we've currently seen, and if there are, then we'll have to maneuver them into other areas of the ship. There is something in room 5 now, so we're going to close D12 to keep them in there, open D3, and see if we can get them to head in there without the radiation getting in. Hopefully that'll work, and then we can ignore them into room 4, which is already unsafe. When that symbol goes green and room 4's goes red, we know the enemy has moved over. Go on. Work with me here. They may not go into an irradiated room, but it looks like they fell for it, so we're okay now. Perfect. So we're going to send Wally up through this space now, which is probably fully safe. So D12 is a very... Ooh. Room 4's sensor is untriggered. That's not good. Something happened there that I was not expecting. I've never seen them get out through a door that was previously closed. In here, we're going to quickly try to gather all. I guess the radiation probably killed whatever it was then. That must have been what happened. I haven't tried sending enemies into those kinds of spaces before, and I'm assuming that was the result. We've just killed whatever was in there through the radiation damage. Unfortunately, with the way this room's set out, it's going to be difficult for us to explore the rest of the ship because we don't have access to another generator to power the rest of it. But that doesn't mean that we're stuck completely. We have a way around these kinds of problems using our ship upgrades. So we're going to bring Wally back over here to where it's safe, close the doors behind him, make sure that nothing is coming in from over there, just to make sure things are as safe as possible. Now we have a really interesting ability here called Reroute Power. Reroute Power is a ship upgrade that we've found, and we can use it to send power from where we do have power here in R3 and send it into R7 instead. There we go. And now we have the ability to explore elsewhere, because we can get through D10 now, which we couldn't get through before. We're going to send Wally through here to drop a sensor quickly. There we go. Just to make sure there's nothing hostile in there, and if there is, we can send them directly into our Gatling gun, which means we don't have to worry too much about getting rid of them or hiding them in other areas, although we can send them into R4 still if we would like. So let's open up D10 and see if there's any enemies hiding in there that we can get rid of. As of yet, we don't see anything, but that doesn't mean there's nothing there. We gotta be a little bit careful here. You'll also notice that some of our upgrades have a limited number of uses. Our sensor has only 30 out of 50 uses left. You can regenerate those uses by going to a upgrade option in one of the menus, but otherwise you will run out of them eventually. This room looks like it doesn't have a whole lot in it, but it does have two very nice things in it. Wow, this is an incredible room, in fact. There's some really nice stuff in here. We have a dead drone. We can potentially take an upgrade from here. We can take a speed boost off of this guy. That's really nice. That makes this drone significantly faster, and as our primary exploring drone, that's pretty good. We also found another ship upgrade in here, so if we send our towing drone here, Orson, we can send them to navigate to R9, so 3 to R9, then we do the tow combo again, and that means we can get a lot of stuff done here pretty quickly. And that's going to be potentially really nice. Oh, I didn't finish that command, so it's not going to finish it. It's going to navigate to R9, then tow, and then not know what to do because it didn't specify which drone was supposed to go there. You have to be a little bit careful when you're following these instructions, otherwise things just don't work properly. Are we towing? Nope, because I didn't tell him which to tow either. But that's fine. We're now towing a long-range scanner. That's actually a cool one. I haven't seen that one before. So we're just going to manually drive this back because we have it right here anyway, and get it out of here. There we go. So use a tow again to stop towing. Fantastic. We've got 2 upgrades. We're also going to tell gather all 1, and that will send drone 1 there to go pick up the fuel from that depot as well. So this is looking pretty good here now. We've got a pretty interesting setup. Can we send more power into R9 and explore further? If we go reroute R3, R7, R9. Yes, we can power this room, so we can go around that irradiated room anyway and potentially find more things. Let's drop a sensor in here. Head back to the safety of the room here. There we go. We are going to close D10 for now and open D22. If something comes through into R9, then we'll have a little bit of a pickle here. We can open D9 to get them into the radiation room, or try and go around another way. But either way, we probably got most of the valuable stuff off of this ship. It's been pretty good to us so far, though, so I really can't complain that much. Looks like it's safe for now, so we'll take a risk here and send Wally back in. Wally's nice and fast, so there's a good chance we'll be able to get out of trouble if something happens, although certain enemies will probably just wreck us if they're on board the ship here, because they're very quick and there's nothing we'll be able to do for them. We lost our video signal for Drone 2, but that's probably not the end of the world. What we can do here now is use our other ship upgrade to remotely power this room. I don't know the room code for this one. Based on the numbers I can see, I would guess that this is probably room 7. No, room 7's down there. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it's gotta be room 10 then. Doesn't have to be, but it might be. Nope. This is room what? It is room 10. That doesn't sound right. Power. There we go. I must have just written it wrong. Oh, I just wrote 10. That's what it was, of course. Okay. So, now we have a little bit more power in here, and we can open even more doors. So, we're going to drop another sensor, and we're going to keep exploring. So far, we've only had to use one drone here. Or we've used our towing drone and our generator drone in less direct manners. Often you only need one drone to do your main core of your exploring, just because of the way that the upgrades work. I've put upgrades on Nathan, like Gatherer, and on Orson, like Gatherer, so that if I'm having people in totally different parts of the ship, I can send them to different areas without running into problems, but you generally don't need that kind of thing. As it looks, though, our 10 is safe still, so let's head back in there with Wally. Another power generator. Alright. That's a really long room, but there's not a lot in it. Alright. Well, we actually can't make any more progress. Let's drop another sensor here, back out, and we're going to try and do some shenanigans here, because... Oh, there we go. If we try to reroute power again now, we can theoretically power room 11 using the power from room 10. So, in fact, we may not even need room 10's power. So let's try powering our 10 again. It closes the doors there, but we can power room 11 instead. There we go. That gives us access to those doors again, and now we can check some more things. Is room D6, or room 12 in this case, safe? By opening the door, we'll see if anything tries to come through there. We can send them into room 2, which we've already explored and is now out of the way, and then potentially we can find some more goods here. Who knows what might even be on board? There's also a good chance that we've killed everything on here and it's safe, but there's no way for us to know that, so we have to be really careful, especially because some enemies like to lie in wait in rooms, and using this sensor strategy doesn't always work. There are motion sensors, which allow you to tell enemies in nearby rooms, but sometimes they don't work perfectly either, and it's difficult to tell if a room is safe prior to exploring it. Now there's some scrap in here. That's a good room for us. It doesn't seem like there is an enemy in here after all, so that's great too. Alright, so we're going to quickly gather all this. This is a pretty long mission as it happens. A lot of the ships are much smaller than this. This is a nice one to show off the true stressfulness of some of these explorations. I think I will waste another sensor in this room. I'm not too worried about it at the moment. We'll just try and do it as quickly as possible here. So, we want to try and make sure we explore everywhere, so we'll open up D5 as well and see if anything comes into room 12. This is probably the last room on the ship, and then we'll have the whole place explored. And there was something on board there, so we're going to send them into D19, rather into room 2. Hopefully they'll go through there. We'll close D5 behind them so they have nowhere else to go. Okay, so now we know they're in room 2. So, now what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and get rid of them. So we're probably going to try and send them over to room 4. But first, we're going to see what was in the room they were guarding. Now that they've moved through, it's safe for us to move past. Ooh, another ship upgrade. We can check info. There's nothing here. This is just an ship upgrade slot, which has nothing in it. So that's unfortunate. There is, however, another generator over here. And there is an upgrade slot over here. It's just way hidden out of the way. What is this one, then? We hadn't found it yet, so we couldn't tell what it was. That is a destroyed remote power upgrade. Well, that's unfortunate. Since it's broken, we can't take it. But we are going to try something I haven't tried in this game so far, which could be a fun little thing to attempt, which is we're going to try and take over this ship, because it is really big, and it could be really useful to us. So, in order to commandeer an enemy ship, or rather a ship you're exploring, and take it over as your current ship, what we need to do is we need to... hang on one second here while I try to reroute power from R11 to R10. There we go, and then we can open those doors. So we go D20 and D16. At least we will in a second once he's through. What we need to make sure is we've explored all of the rooms, and there's no enemies left alive on board. And if there's any radiation, it's contained. As it stands, the radiation is contained to room 4, and it's spreading now, which is not great, but we can get around it. There we go, so we go D16. Okay, D7. We may have caused a problem for ourselves here, because D20 there is not a safe radiation-containing door, but we'll do our best here. So we're going to now reroute power, if I can spell, from R11 to R2 to R6. No, we only have the ability to power 2 rooms with that one. Possibly... Yeah, that's just going to be it. So we'll open that door then, get ourselves into R6. And all we need to be able to do here is power R5, which we can do from the R3 power source. It's a bit of a mess to control all these things, but it's really useful for being able to get through the doors you need, because now we can get out. Thankfully, nothing ever spawned through that vent there, so we're okay in this case. And we've made it out. So, what we're going to do is we're going to use the end command to send all of our bots back to our ship. And we're going to attempt the Commandeer command, which I've never tried before, and see if it works for us here. Commandeer. Oh, I probably spelled that wrong. I did. Alright, Commandeer. So. Interesting. This derelict has a bunch of upgrades that we can potentially take. Our current ship only has 2 slots. This one has 4 for upgrades. We'll definitely take this thing. Let's take it. Alright, we have a new ship now. That's always cool. So. Well. We gathered 1 bit of propulsion fuel. We gathered no jump fuel here. But we have a total of 4. We collected 9 scrap, and gathered 9 more when we moved over to this ship, so that got us a whole pile of scrap, and we survived for 55 total days now. Excellent. Harvesting upgrades off the broken drone HAL. Excellent. So we got a bunch of stuff out of this mission. All well and good. And now we have a fancy new ship we can upgrade to give us even more on-mission upgrades. We have 2 remote powers. I think I actually have 3 remote powers. I don't know if I can equip them all, though. And long-range scanners. There you go. And I have another 2 remote power upgrades, but I can't equip those. It seems like you can't equip more than 2, which is kind of sad. But we have a ton of them to get rid of later. Long-range scanners give us more systems in the galaxy map. Oh, that sounds interesting. So if we go here, we have a bigger viewpoint. Oh, yes we do. Wow, that is much larger. Interesting. Okay. So there's some interesting options available to us here, which is pretty cool. Now, as it stands, we're going to take a look at some of the other in-game options, and then we will end this video, because that mission took a lot longer than I expected. Now, top menus are pretty important. Drone configuration is like what you get when you start a mission. It allows you to move upgrades around. Not super vital, because you do get at the start of every mission, but if you want to mess with things, it's a good way to do it. You can take upgrades off your drones and put different ones on, and it'll allow you to do a variety of different things. And the ship configuration menu, which we just saw, allows us to put upgrades on our ship. The last one, though, is the most important one, the modifications menu. This is where you're actually able to interact with what you've found and what you want to use on your drones in a major way, which is really important here. The drones menu allows us to do upgrades on them, so we can, for example, heal them up a little bit. My drones are all at very low health, so I could afford to put some of the huge amount of scrap I just acquired into upgrading them to have more health. I could upgrade them by increasing their speed, so they'll move faster permanently. I can increase their maximum HP. I can also repair damaged systems, like how Drone 2 has a damaged video signal. We can repair that so it won't actually fail out, and if they have no video signal and you switch them, all you get is a black screen, so you can't see what's going on. You can also scrap them if you don't want them to gain yourselves a bit of extra resources. You can also repair upgrades. So for example, our towing system here has a 21% chance of breaking completely every time we use it. Every time you use tow, you have to use it twice to pick something up and drop it off if you want to go get something else, so there's a pretty good chance this will just completely fail if we use it. It is expensive to repair these upgrades though, as they cost 11 parts to repair, and generally only 3 parts to buy. So if you're at a shop, you can get these for a lot cheaper, but if you have to try and make them yourselves, it's pretty expensive still. It costs 10 to create these new parts. Now it's important to note we can only create gatherer generators and tow parts. We can't make most of the more complicated ones. As you can see here, we have sensors and gatlings and traps and lures and motion sensors, and we can't make those ourselves. So maintaining them is actually really important to be able to keep yourself viable, and that's a pretty big deal. We also have the ability to personally sell our upgrades for our ship here, even though we can't make more, and that is effectively the limit of what we can do there. So, while that is a lot to look at, that is a quick look at what Duskers is all about. It's a pretty interesting game. Despite having a bit of an unusual interface and an unusual design, it's really interesting and really stressful sometimes, especially when some of the environmental events happen and things start coming in to destroy you utterly. You can have asteroid strikes happening, you can have an entire ship filling up with radiation when you're on the wrong side of it, you can move your ship around onto different airlock locations a lot of the time, but we never run into that being useful in the current mission. But there's a lot of different strange things that can happen to you. Enemies can spawn in when you thought you were safe, all kinds of nasty things can happen. So, it's a pretty interesting one, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. For now, though, this has been Vanguard of Valor, and welcome to Duskers.